Hi, today I'm going to do a crochet tutorial on making one of these little tiny Kokeshi dolls. It's a nice simple design but with a really nice cute effect. I think she's quite sweet. So I've got a couple there, as you can see. So this is what we're going to try and make today. So I'll pop those two to one side and just go through what we require. We need some good quality toy stuff in. Always check the safety standards on that. It is important. We need a face colour. Can be any choice, but this is the one I got because I have a little Japanese Kokeshi doll and it's a very similar sort of peachy colour, so I went for that. We need a dress colour. Again, any colour you require. As you can see with mine, there's a little red and a little lilac. I decided to do a lilac one in this situation. I need a little bit of red for her mouth and we need black for her hair. These are double knit yarns. I also have a 3.5mm hook, my sewing up needles, pair of scissors, little flower to decorate, and my safety eyes. These are 6mm safety eyes, you can see. Again, be careful when buying these, make sure they are a good quality and a standard, because you do have to think about whoever's going to be receiving this little gift. Obviously, if it's a very much younger child, this might not be the best option, or beads may not be the right option. If they're under a certain age, I'd certainly stitch my features on because it's safer that way. But on average, I think these are very good quality and they are pretty sturdy. They're not going to come out without a lot of effort, but I still think you do need to think about the age of the person requiring it. So I'm going to pop the eyes out the way and all our accessories. Let's have a look. We don't need that colour. We don't need our stuffing. We're going to start with the dress colour. Now, a lot of these instructions I have put on my beginners pages, so I will go straight into what we're doing. Now, the first thing we're going to do, I'll just drop my wool down there so it runs nicely, just drops behind my cabinet. I'm going to start with my slip knot and using my 3.5mm hook, pop it on there. Make sure it's not too tight. I'm going to start with 2 chain. There are different options for this, but I think the 2 chain system works best for myself. Now, as you can see, 1 and 2, I'm going to go in the first one. There we go. So it's actually, if you look, it's where the knot is. And I'm going to make 6 double crochets. Please remembering I am referring to UK terms here. So I will put up a little comparison chart for the different types. But most people do know if they're used to crocheting. But like I say, we are UK. Let me just double check what I'm doing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I've got 6. Creates the little base for her bottom. Now for the next part, I'm going to put 2 double crochets into each of these. And because I'm working on an amigurumi system, it's going to work in a spiral method. So there's no stopping and starting, so there's no slip stitch, join and then chain up. You just keep going round and round. So that's 2, 3, so 2 in each, remember. That's my 4th one with 2 in, 5th one, and my little, oh, nearly, my last one, number 6. So now, hopefully, I have 12 stitches. Let's have a quick check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. That is perfect. From then on, I do need to increase another round. Same system, I'm going to do 2 into each DC, but I'm not slip stitching or anything. I'm just carrying on where I was. Now, you do need to count unless you popped a stitch marker in at this point. So I will count. That's our second one. So I need 12 of them. So that's our 3rd, 4th. If you need a little reminder on doing the double crochet, remember, in, pull the yarn through. We should have 2 on the hook. Pull it through. Put it in, pull it through, 2 on the hook and pull it through. Again, there is a tutorial on my video listings if you're not sure. There we go. And now, because I've been chuntering, I've lost count. Now, I know I need 24 stitches, so I'm not going to over stress about it. I'm not going to undo anything. I'm just going to keep going until I think it's about that. Then I'll give it a little count. I think we're nearly there, to be honest. Let's have a look. Right, I'm going to stop there a second and just double check. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I need one more with 2 in it. And that now gives me my 24 stitches. Now if I'm sat nice and quiet, the next part I would just count 24 stitches per round. Now there's going to be 4 rounds, so I'm just grabbing a little piece of spare yarn here. Again, pop your stitch marker in. If you don't have a stitch marker, grab a piece of yarn like I'm doing now and just pull it through. There we go, it's split a bit, but it doesn't matter because it's only there for reference, so I'll just get rid of that bit. So there we go. Especially if there's a distraction, you don't want to forget where you are. It's like this because there's no stop and start. It's with it being spiral, so it is easy to lose your way. I do like to mark down each row. That is one thing I like to do. But again, we get away with murder a little bit with amigurumi systems. If I happen to do an extra round, I do an extra round. She'll have a very tiny difference in the length of her body. If I do one less, she will be slightly shorter. So you could vary them. You could do them in lots of different styles. You could have a little short one. You could have a tall, long one. Do one somewhere in between. So like a little group of sisters, all different ages, which would look quite cute actually. So I'm still only on my first one here. Now, as I say, I do like to mark down, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to have to trust my instincts a little bit here and hope my memory holds out and I don't talk too much. So that is our first round. You can see it's already starting to curve, albeit the wrong way at this point. Just pull my yarn up a little bit. So number 2. When I actually time myself, I could actually make, not sew up or put details on, but I could actually physically make the actual doll in about 25 minutes. Now, obviously that's without any distractions, so nobody else in the house. It makes it a lot quicker if you can do that. So I reckon half an hour to 45 minutes is a pretty regular time to be able to create one of these things. Let me try and keep in the middle there. Quick reminder, it is a double crochet we are doing, and we're doing it in an amigurumi style. And we're almost round on that second round. There we go. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit rough. I'm just getting over a cold at the moment, and unfortunately it's sort of still left me with a little bit of sort of sore throat behind. There we go. So that's 2. So just quickly get this third one out of the way. Double crochet. You can see it's properly curling now. It's curling into like a little ball. There we go, nearly there. I must learn how to fast forward on YouTube a little bit so you guys don't have to sort of sit and watch me do these bits. I know some of you will be experienced enough, you can just sort of fast forward on to the next bit, or some of you don't even need to watch me, they can just read the pattern. But for the sake of those that are beginners, and for people who maybe just not done amigurumi as a style, this is why I'm trying to do it in a real time, trying not to go too fast, so you can actually see properly what I'm doing. Because it's always nice to have a visual next to a written pattern. I mean, I will be typing out the pattern and I will be put it in the description section. So can you see how it's curled properly now? So I'm going to push it out the other way because I want this to be the outside bit. So the only thing with amigurumi, you do have to watch because it curls that way, and some people think that's the right way, like I did for a long time when I first learned, but it's not. This is the right side out. So we're going to do one more round and then we'll already be starting to decrease after that. There we go, so all the way around. Last row. It should be a round. It'll always be referred to as a round, not a row if it's amigurumi. I sometimes switch when I'm talking about it because obviously sometimes I'm working in rows, sometimes I'm not. But it is a round because it is a spiral system. Great for toy making though. If you've never done it, brilliant. It's so flexible. So many different designs you can create from it. Nearly there. And sometimes you can take one pattern and just do it on a larger hook or a larger yarn and you get a bigger item. Vice versa, smaller hook, smaller yarn, and you can get some tiny pieces. I have done some very small ones of these as well. So we're round. So that is our 4 rows, and you can see the shape of her bottom appearing. Now we're going to have our first decrease row. Now with this we're going to do 2 crochets together. Very simple. You go in to do your crochet, you don't finish it. You just go straight into the next one. So we end up with 3 on the hook. We're going to pull through all 3 of those. We next have 4 DCs on their own. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to have another decrease. So remember, you don't finish the stitch, you go into the next one. We have 3 on the hook, pull through all 3, then we've got another 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, another decrease, because we're going to decrease 4 times on this one. So that's 2 together. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we've got one more to fit in. Looks a little bit close. That's 1, 2, oh, nearly slipped. 3 and 4. So that's our first decrease. We're now going to do a basic double crochet round just to neaten it off. After you've done a decrease, sometimes it's nice to have a plain round so you don't get sort of too much of a dint. If you keep decreasing, sometimes it can become a little bit holy, so you do have to be careful. There are different methods of decreasing. I have noticed a lot of the American patterns miss a stitch. That isn't something I knew of until I found a pattern that did that, so I'm like, okay, look, fair enough. It does sort of work. It works the same, looks just as neat, but I think because this is the way I've been taught, this is the way I go, that's all. Right, we're nearly round, so we're down now. We started with 24 stitches by the time we'd increased. We're now down to 20. I am actually going to move my stitch marker now as well, so I think I've mentioned before, the problem with amigurumi is the stitch mark placement will change because it's a spiral, not a circle. It does move along, so it is worth every so many stitches moving it up so you can see where you're going with it. I'm now going to do another decrease round, same as last time, but there's less stitches in between. So we're going to start with 2 together. There you go. But this time it's only 3 in between. So we've got 1, 2 and 3. So 2 together. That's our second decrease, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3, another 2 together, and we've got 1, 2 and 3. We should have one more, which looks about right. So we've got 2 together, and then there should be enough space for 3 little stitches, which it is. That's landed beautifully on our stitch marker position, so you can properly see the shape appearing now. So now, because I've just done a decrease round, I want to do a nice little neat just plain double crochet round, just to lighten it off a little bit. We're not actually far off finishing her body at this point. I have actually lifted out 1 row compared with the little doll that I showed you earlier, because I just decided I thought I want to do a little bit shorter, and for you guys as a tutorial it makes it a little bit faster because you don't want to be sat there for days, but you can just add in an extra DC round if you want to make her body a little bit longer. Right, so there we are, we're round. I've actually now got, let me double check where I am with my pattern, we should have 16 stitches. We could have a little check. Well, we got, if we can see it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think I might have an extra one. But don't worry about it, because the beauty of amigurumi is you can get away with that. Now, I'm just trying to find my next yarn. So we're now going to be changing to the other colour of yarn. If you haven't changed colours before, don't worry about it. It is simple, but there are a couple of different ways you can do it. So this isn't the only way. It would be a good way to find the middle though. There we are. I've got it. So I'm now changing to the colour of her face. Let's tuck that one away because it's getting in my way. I always like to tuck my ends in. It makes it feel neater as you're working. So this is my option. You don't have to do it this way. They can just join the yarn. So I've wrapped my yarn round ready, so it's in its normal position. I've still got a hold of that purple though, because I want to start the stitch. So you can see I've started it, but I've not finished it. So I've still got 2, and that's when I'm going to bring this one in. Oh, I went a bit blurry there. Bring the cream one in, and off we go. So we'll do a couple of stitches, and then I'm just going to tie these 2. So I'm just going to pop that on the floor, on the table a second while I tie it up. I think I've just pulled it out. That wasn't very good, was it? Let me try that again. I suppose it shows how I did it. So left with 2. Let me get the other bit of my yarn, pull it through the 2. I'll do a couple of stitches, and I'll do a couple more this time so I don't do the same again. There we are, so I've got 4 there. So now I'm going to take my hook out for a second. I'm going to try not to pull my stitches out, and these 2 we will trim off. Oh, the lilac, cut. Throwing my scissors about. and we're going to join these two. I'm just going to tie a little knot because it's on the inside. You're not going to see it. So the beauty of amigurumi, everything's on the inside as well, so you can get away with that. So nice and tidy, no sewing in, but tuck it in to get it out of your way. There we go. So we can carry on now with our DC round. So I'm doing just a plain double crochet round, giving us our 16 stitches. Oh, I've got yarn everywhere now. I am messy. There we go. Let's move that over there. Right, off we go again. So now we have our 16 stitches in our new yarn. I'm going to take it there so you can see a bit better. Do apologise if I keep moving out of screen. I've got my camera a little bit higher. I've been trying it a couple of times this, and I sort of forget where I am. I keep moving out of the way, and I mustn't do that. Same as I keep moving that pattern out of the way. You can see how messy my pattern is. Look at that. That's a neat one, that. I'm really bad. Don't worry, at least when I type it up, it looks half decent. So, I'm all the way round. Don't need the stitch marker now because I can actually see where the join was. So, it's given me a stitch marker naturally anyway. So, my next round, I need to increase a little bit just so she's got a little bit of roundness on her cheeks. So, we're going to do 2 stitches in 1. That's my increase. Then, we're going to do 3 double crochets. We're going to have an increase, 2 stitches in 1. We're going to have 3. 1, 2 and 3. Another increase. There's 4 increases on this round. Increasing is just putting 2 stitches in the same hole. It's no more difficult than that. We need 1 more. You can see you're nearly round, so that's why you know there's another one to come. There we go, 1, 2 and 3. So we've got our little shape coming now. As you can see, she's slightly shorter in the body than my other one. Not by much, what, maybe it's only about a round. But I just thought she looked a bit cute, a little bit sort of squatter in shape. Right, so we now have, unfortunately, 4 plain rows that you're going to have to put up with me doing. So I will try and go as quick as I can. After we've done these 4 rows, our next stage is we're going to be popping our eyes in. Safety eyes are good to be putting into them. Sometimes they can be a bit stiff to do. But again, this is where you need to decide whether you're going to be safety eyeing, whether you're going to be stitching on, or whether you're going to do beads. Beads can look really cute, gives you a little bit more 3D, but again, think about the safety issue depending on who the recipient is going to be. We're nearly round on 1. I think we're doing quite well for time. I can't actually see because unfortunately my clip on my stand is just over where it says the time. Right, so that's 1. Try and get these done as quick as I can. We're still double crochet, we're still working in a spiral. There we go. And at least I don't need to worry about stitch markers, so I don't need to worry about counting. Oh, I do need to worry about splitting my stitches though. Keep it nice and tidy. I mean, with these, I've been making quite a few recently because we're going to be having a stall at a cosplay convention, which is quite good. The rest of my family do cosplay. I am going dressed up myself this time, so that's going to be a bit of fun. But I do have a stall there. I've had one there for a few years now, and it's a really good time. Really enjoy it. People are there, are lovely as well. So it's sort of exciting to have a way of having a stall and being sort of part of it as well. So that was 2. We're on number 3. The only thing is we've got quite a few costumes to make as well at the moment. So as well as doing all my crochet, I have costumes to sort out. Nearly there though. Right, this is our 3rd one, wasn't it? See, I talk and then I don't know how many I've done, do I? I will try and be quiet if that is humanly possible, just for this last round. Let's see if I can actually be shut up for 2 minutes. Right, I've got 1 more round to do. My yarn is nicely tangling up because I didn't move my purple. So bear with me a second while I just straighten this out. That purple is getting in my way. And I've only got a couple of rounds, so I don't want it to tangle. Right, I think I've done it enough. So, last round. Well, last round before we change things, because we're going to put the eyes in a second. think I mentioned at the beginning, but they are 6mm eyes. You can get them in different sizes, but I found 6mm was just nice on this because it gives her a nice big cute eye, but there are larger. I don't actually know whether there's any smaller. I'm not sure, there might be. I can't say as I've ever used smaller than a 6mm. And they're usually pretty cheap. They usually come in packs of 3 or 4. But as I say, don't go too cheap. Be careful where you're buying these products. It's not worth skimping, it really isn't. Nearly there. Here we are. So I'm round now. So you'll be glad to know I finished that little bit. But it didn't take long, did it? So you can see where her little face is coming along. So we're going to have a decrease row. It's only going to have 4 decreases. So like in the past, we do 2 together. Remember how we did that? So you have the 3 and pull it through all 3. We're going to have 4 double crochets. That's 3. That's 4. 2 together. 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 together. And 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I do 3 or did I 4? I don't think I did enough, did I? Let's have a look. Yeah, we can squeeze one more in, I think. Well, we do one more anyway. So we've got 1, 2, 3, because your starting point will have changed a little bit. And 4. So you can see we're getting a little bit of shape coming in. We're now going to pop our eyes in. So here are our safety eyes. So I've got to decide roughly where I want them. I think last time I did approximately 4 rows up. So 1, 2, 3-ish, you think? Let's have a look. Again, if you just push them in first, let me get rid of that hook a second, and then you can decide whether that's a good position. I think that's quite cute. Remember, it's got to stretch when you stuff it, so don't do them sort of too far apart, otherwise you'll end up with eyes around here. Now, I'm going to turn it over, and you can see the spikes that are sticking out from the back. I'm going to take the little domed cap, as you can see, sort of, it's sort of like a little saucery shape, and I'm going to do it dome upwards, and I'm going to push down onto this plastic post. Now, it does take a little bit of doing, a little bit of wiggling, so it clicks on. That's 1. Oh, it's not going. Keep it still. It's slipping on the table. It will go. Oh, did you hear that? So 2, 2. So that one's nicely in. I find it usually takes about 3 clicks on these small ones, but depending on the size, obviously, it would be slightly different. So it's dome up. Try and make sure it doesn't slip about. 1. Oh, it's not going to go for the second one. There we go. 2. So there was a 1 and a 2. So you've got 3. So you can see a little shape now. I think we're ready to do a little bit of stuffing now as well. Stuffing, as I mentioned, please make sure this is safety stuffing. It does make a difference. It is proper, official toy stuffing that you can buy from most craft shops. It's nice and cheap. And after one big bag, if you're not doing lots of these, you'll get loads. I mean, I have to buy a lot of bags because I'm doing them in multiples, but for the average person crafting one bag, you can get a lot out of. Let's push it in. Now I'm pushing a little bit extra down into a body because I'm going to push it back up afterwards because it gets in the way while you're trying to finish it. So I find it's best to overstuff at the bottom, so a little bit more, and then push it back up. So she looks slightly sort of strange shape, a little bit overstuffed at the moment. But I've got to continue with this. Now, the beauty of this is because it's having a hair over it, we don't have to overly worry about the neatness. Sometimes when people decrease at this point, we're doing 2 crochets together all the way around. Every single one is 2 crochets together. But sometimes you do have to watch your tension to make sure it looks half decent. But she's having a hair on it, so we might get away with just sort of relaxing a little bit. Look, that purple yarn's at it again. Nearly there. Like I say, she looks like she's got no stuffing in her head at the moment, but it will shuffle up when I give her a little wiggle in a bit. We are nearly there. Look at this, eh? We are doing well. I'm dying to see how long we're on. I can't quite see it. I was trying to then. So look, the hole is closing up more and more and more. Now again, normally you'd have to make sure this was extra neat, unless it's got something going over it. So I'm going to leave it at that though. And my last one, I've just done, oh, I tried to do a slip stitch. There we go. It's a slip stitch, just finishes it a little bit neater. So I can now cut the yarn, and that one's out of the way. Pulling my yarn through that slip, give her a little roll, pad her about. There you go. She's so cute. She looks very strange without any hair on, but she does look adorable still. Right, I'm going to actually cheat a little bit because it takes a long time for me to actually do all of it on video for you. I mean, 30 minutes is a long time to sit and watch. This is her hair. The pattern will be there, so don't worry. It works on the same system as her bottom. She's also got 2 little buttons to go either side. Again, the pattern is there for you, and it works again, same system. We all start with the 2 chain, 6 double crochets in. That is all it starts with, and there isn't much more to it than that either. Excuse me a moment. I wish this cold would go away. It's very inconvenient. So, sewing up needles. Little flower. Little bit of red. One thing I didn't mention also, for sewing up the flower, we could do with just some normal sewing cotton to whatever colour you're wanting. So let's start having a look at a little bit of sewing up and see how fast we can get her to look like she should. So first off, easy peasy this one. It's already tied off, so I'm just going to push it through. I've got a bit of a thing about things coming undone, so I will push it through a few times. It's going through the stuffing inside, so it sort of supports it and holds it in place, so I can give it a little trim. That's number 1 done. The next one, we don't need the inner part of the hair, so we can actually cut that bit off. Oh, not too short, just leave a little bit. Turn it back the right way, and hopefully this is going to fit on her head. There we go. My son did say that they look like Credence or Fantastic Beasts, and he's not far off wrong when they're like that. But by the time we've stitched it on, it all works. There we go. So I've threaded it through. I'm using quite a small eye needle because I like the sharp point there, so I'm willing to give the larger hole a miss just so as I get a better point for sewing up. For this one, nothing fancy, just a basic little running stitch all the way around. You could actually stitch it over like I'm going to do with the buns in a minute. Let's come undone. Bear with me. It's only problem when it's a small hole. It takes a bit of getting the yarn in, but it's worth it, I think, for the actual finish. Right, so we're keeping this nice and simple. We're not doing an overstitch or a blanket stitch or a fancy stitch. It's just a bog standard running stitch. So it's just in and out all the way around until the hair is in place. We're going to do a little knot here. My yarn was a little bit short there, so I'm going to have to do it that way around. And then I'm going to push it up through her head. And again, to make sure it's not going anywhere, out the other side and trim it off. So her hair is on now. Still looks a little strange, I must admit. So we have some buns. We don't need the inner bit that we started with. I'll do that with both of them before we start. Right. Any excess you can push inside the bun. Does give it a little bit more weight as well when it's on the side of her head. So threading it up. And we need to decide on our position. You could do just a big bun on the top, which I've seen them like that and they look really, really cute. If you go on the internet and have a look at the various images of Kokeshi dolls, there's dozens and dozens of them. So there's lots of different designs, a lot more complicated designs, but this is just nice, quick and simple. So I'm going as if it's above her ear, a pretend ear that she's got there. And as you can see, it almost pushes it straight into position. This time I'm picking up a stitch from the bun and a stitch in the hair. Stitch in the bun, stitch in the hair, just to position it and pull it into place a little bit. Try not to leave it too flat. You need to sort of move it around a little bit. And in. Oh, nearly sewed my finger up. That would not be a first. Right, so I've made a little knot now. Again, like before, I'm going to push it through the head once, twice, and I'm going to do a third one just for luck to make sure it's going nowhere. There we go, and I can trim that bit off. Squish her into place a bit. You see, she's got a nice little bun now. The last bun. Here we go. So again, approximately above where her ear would be, roughly the same height as the other side, and ta-da, it's there. So again, now I have to pick up a stitch from the bun and a stitch in the hair all the way around. This is looking good. I actually quite like them shorter. I wish I'd made my others shorter now. It's not a big difference, but I think it's enough proportionally to make them look a little bit better. Let's have a look. There we go. So, tie my little knot. Little bun's in place. But I've got a little bit over here. So rather than having to stitch a thread up, I'm going to sneak it through to there. Yep. And I'm going to go across the little V and back up that side. And then down, across, and push through. So we get that little design as if she's got a little crossover kimono there. Don't pull it too tight. There we go, loosen it off a bit. I'm now going to take that back up to her hair because I want to tie a little knot and I don't want it visible. And being in the black, it will help. So just to fix it, make sure it's going nowhere. Again, I could have done with leaving that thread a little bit longer, would have been easier. And I'm going to just push it through the head again. So that's anchored now, so that won't come out at all. So there's her little detail there. Her mouth. Now, I should have actually done the mouth before I did the hair because you can hide the knot. Apologise if you can hear a tissue rustling. I'm trying desperately not to sniff because it sounds awful. Right, so red. You can do it pink. You don't have a colour you want. So, tying a little knot in the end. I'm going to try and hide it under the hair because I should have put it in there first. So I'm going to put the knot in, push it through where I want her mouth. Now, if it's not gone up enough, I'm just going to use my scissors just to poke that up. But if I'd done that before the hair, you wouldn't have had to worry about that. So I'm just going to go straight across. Let's see what we get. Oh, don't pull it tight. Makes her look cross. And there we go, we've got a little mouth. With this, I've pulled it out through the hair, but because I can't really knot it now, like a fool, I'm going to push it through quite a few times to make sure it's going nowhere. One more for measure. There we go. That's enough. And all I need to do now, which I won't do on this, we're going to sew on the little flower and she's all done. There you go, your little Kokeshi doll done. Nice and quick.